Optimizing AWS EC2 Management with Terraform Variables, a comprehensive guide. This podcast is brought to you by Business Compass LLC. We are an Amazon Web Services advanced consulting partner. We build and migrate workloads to Amazon Cloud. Our website is businesscompassllc.com. Our phone number is 973-638-2228. Our email address is contact@businesscompassllc.us. Managing AWS infrastructure efficiently is critical to successful cloud operations. Terraform, an infrastructure as code (IAC) tool, simplifies the deployment and management of AWS resources. By leveraging Terraform variables, you can make your infrastructure more flexible, reusable, and easier to maintain. This podcast walks you through managing AWS EC2 instances using Terraform variables. Introduction to Terraform variables. Terraform variables are a powerful feature that allows you to parameterize your configurations. Changing the variable values will enable you to reuse duplicate configuration files for different environments, regions, or use cases. Understanding the purpose and benefits of Terraform variables. The primary purpose of Terraform variables is to make your configurations more dynamic and flexible. By defining variables, you can avoid hard-coding values, which makes your Terraform code cleaner and easier to manage. Variables also allow you to reuse configuration files across multiple environments, easily update resource properties without modifying the core configuration, enhance code readability and maintainability. Prerequisites for working with Terraform variables. Before diving into Terraform variables, ensure that you have the following prerequisites: a working knowledge of AWS services, particularly EC2. Terraform is installed on your local machine. An AWS account with the necessary permissions to create and manage EC2 instances. Setting up the Terraform environment. Start by setting up your Terraform environment. This involves creating a new folder for your project and initializing Terraform. Create a new folder and initialize Terraform. Create a new directory for your project. Navigate to the directory and run the Terraform init command to initialize Terraform. Defining core variables in vars.tf. Next, define your core variables in a vars.tf file. This file will hold all the variable definitions used throughout your Terraform configuration. Example vars.tf. Variable instance underscore type. Description equals type of EC2 instance. Type equals string. Default equals t2.micro. Variable region. Description equals AWS region to deploy resources. Type equals string. Default equals US West 2. Variable availability underscore zone. Description equals availability zone to deploy resources. Type equals string. Default equals US West 2A. Declaring provider configuration. After defining your variables, you must declare the provider configuration that specifies which cloud provider you use. Creating providers.tf for AWS provider setup. Create a providers.tf file to configure the AWS provider. This file will utilize the variables you defined in vars.tf. Example providers.tf. Provider AWS. Region equals var.region. Specifying regions and availability zones. Using variables, you can easily specify the region and availability zone where your resources will be deployed. This makes it easy to switch regions or deploy across multiple areas. Crafting the EC2 instance configuration. Now, let's create the configuration for the EC2 instance. This configuration will be stored in an instance.tf file. Defining the EC2 instance resource in instance.tf. Create an instance.tf file to define the EC2 instance resource. Use the previously defined variables to parameterize the instance type and availability zone. Example instance.tf. Resource AWS underscore instance example. AMI equals AMI 0 C55 B159 CBFAF 1F0. Instance underscore type equals var.instance underscore type. Availability underscore zone equals var.availability underscore zone. Tags equals. Name equals Terraform example. Incorporating variables for flexibility and reusability. The true power of Terraform variables lies in their ability to make your configurations flexible and reusable. You can easily update the vars.tf file or pass variables through the command line to deploy different instances in various regions. Applying Terraform configuration. With your variables and configurations in place, apply the Terraform configuration to create the EC2 instance. Verifying file structure and running Terraform commands. Ensure your file structure is correct. vars.tf, providers.tf, instance.tf. Run the Terraform plan to preview the changes. Run Terraform applied to create the EC2 instance. Observing the creation of EC2 instances via AWS console. After applying the configuration, verify the creation of the EC2 instance in the AWS Management Console. Modifying configuration for different regions. To deploy resources in different regions, simply update the region variable in your vars.tf file or override it during runtime using the var flagged example. Terraform apply var equals region equals us east 1. Best practices for Terraform variable usage. Use descriptive variable names. Ensure that variable names clearly describe their purpose. Provide defaults. Define default values for variables to simplify deployment. Use validation. Add validation rules to enforce constraints on variable values. Organize variables. Group related variables together in the same file for better organization. Conclusion: enhancing infrastructure management with Terraform variables. Harnessing Terraform variables is a crucial strategy for managing AWS EC2 instances efficiently. By making your configurations dynamic and reusable, you can simplify infrastructure management, reduce errors, and enhance the scalability of your deployments. As you refine your Terraform skills, remember that variables are your allies in creating robust and flexible infrastructure as code. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Please share this podcast, visit our website, and follow our social media links.